Robert William Fisher was born on the 13th of April, 1961 in Brooklyn, New York. He had two sisters and growing up, he had attended Saguaro High School. By the time he was 15, his parents divorced, and he and his two sisters had gone to live in Arizona with their father. He later served in the Army and after, had worked as a firefighter, then had a job in the medical field. He got married to Mary Cooper in 1987 and they went on to have two children together, Brittany Fisher and Bobby William Fisher Jr. Robert was known to be extremely violent, controlling and cruel to his wife and children. Him and his wife would constantly argue, sometimes about money issues. Mary had taken on a job, telling her friends this was for a security fund for herself. Robert was in control of everything, including how their house looked or what color walls they had in their house. On one occasion, he had sprayed his wife, Mary, with a garden hose for apparently speaking bad about him. He also complained about his son, Bobby, because he wasn't like himself and didn't enjoy hunting or going fishing. He would also engage in strange behaviors, like one time while hunting with a friend, Robert had killed an elk and then proceeded to smear the dead elk's blood all over his face. He also one time snuck up behind a random family who were having a picnic and started shooting his gun into the air behind them. Another incident happened where he decided to randomly shoot a pit bull. Robert would complain about his marriage and spoke of suicide while doing this. He caught a urinary tract infection that had left him sick for a couple of days in December 2000 after he had an affair with a prostitute he met one night. One of his friends later came forward to say how Robert's parents divorcing when he was 15 had still left him bitter, and also, near to the time he committed his upcoming crimes, he would complain to his coworkers at the Mayo Hospital clinic about his parents' divorce, saying how different his life could have been if his mother didn't leave their family when he was younger. In the weeks coming up to the crimes, Mary had confided in some friends that she was planning to divorce Robert. On the 9th of April, 2001, neighbors had heard arguing coming from Mary and Robert's house around 10 p.m. The next morning, at 8:42 a.m., their house exploded. The explosion was so intense that houses in the neighborhood had rattled and the front brick wall fell apart. Firefighters had to keep their distance when they arrived because small secondary explosions started to happen from either a rifle's ammunition or from paint cans exploding. The gas line from the back of the house had been pulled and gas was ignited hours later after a candle had been lit, waiting for it to ignite against the gas accumulating. The burned remains of Mary, age 38, Brittany, age 12, and Bobby, age 10, were found in what was left of their house. It was determined that Mary had been shot in the back of her head, and Brittany and Bobby had died from having their throats slit. Police came to a theory that the murders had happened between 9:30 p.m. and 10:15 p.m. that night. That same night, at 10:43 p.m., Robert had gone to an ATM machine and withdrew $280, and Mary's car was seen behind him while he was withdrawing the money, leading investigators to conclude they were dead before he had gone to withdraw the money. On the 14th of April, 2001, Robert Fisher was named a person of interest and local officers were ordered to arrest him. On the 20th of April, Mary's vehicle was located in the Tonto National Forest in Arizona. Their family dog was found underneath the vehicle, clearly hungry and frightened. The area where the vehicle was found has loads of caves which he may have hid in. Professional cavers have gone and searched the caves since his disappearance, but no trace of him was ever found in any. Police found footprints leading on to the Fort Apache Indian Reservation, less than a mile away from where Mary's car had been found abandoned. Police decided not to search this area. Police released an arrest warrant on the 19th of July, charging him with 3 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of arson. People from where he used to live have since reported spotting a man who resembles Robert driving around the area, and in 2012, the FBI told law enforcement that he may be living close to where Mary's car had been left abandoned, and the latest lead investigators got was in October 2014, when they got a tip that he was hiding in a house in Colorado. When police raided that house, they found no sign of him. Jason Derek Brown was born on the 1st of July 1969 in Los Angeles, and had attended Laguna Beach High School and later achieved a master's degree in international business, and is also fluent in French. Jason run 2 businesses out of his home, Toys Unlimited and On the Doorstep Advertising. He lived in Salt Lake City, Utah. He would often portray an image of himself as a wealthy man, but the truth was he was in tens of thousands of dollars in debt. He allegedly committed check and bank scams, too, and would allegedly enter car dealerships dressed smartly and would use fake social security numbers and fake addresses to buy cars from them. In November of 2004, he bought a .45 caliber Glock pistol and underwent a firearms instructions course in Salt Lake City, Utah. He managed to pass a background check and also submitted his fingerprints. His course instructor later described him as being an obnoxious person who behaved with inexperience with firearms. He was now living in a hotel in Ahwatukee in Arizona, and on the 29th of November, 2004, 24-year-old armored car guard Robert Keith Palomares was outside the AMC Theater in Phoenix and holding the weekend deposits. At 10 a.m., Robert Palomares was attacked and shot at 6 times, 5 of those shots hitting his head. He had been shot within seconds by a hooded gunman using a .45 caliber semi-automatic Glock. After shooting Robert Palomares in the head, the gunman grabbed the bag which contained $56,000 in and ran off to an alleyway where he then was able to flee on a bike. Robert Palomares was taken to hospital where he was then pronounced dead. Police found the bike that was used by the gunman to escape and were able to find fingerprints on it, which they used to link Jason Derek Brown to the murder, and on the 4th of December an arrest warrant was issued for his arrest, charging him with first-degree murder and armed robbery. After he was identified as a suspect, Jason was able to flee to Henderson in Nevada, then on to Las Vegas. Then he changed his vehicle in Las Vegas, and used this to drive himself to Orange County in California, where he lived with relatives until the FBI came to arrest him on the 6th of December, but they had missed him by only 1 hour. He was then at a gas station in Orange County where he used his credit card, and then he traveled to San Diego, where he then went on to Portland, Oregon. After getting to Portland, the FBI were no longer able to find any trace of him. As of 2005, the FBI had got over 200 tips in his case, and later on, the FBI said that the case of Jason Derek Brown has received more leads than anyone else on the 10 most wanted list. He has been noted for having a similar appearance to the actor Sean Penn, and one time, one of Sean Penn's body doubles was arrested after police mistook him for being Jason Derek Brown. The most recent sighting came in August of 2008, near Hoagle's Zoo in Salt Lake City. A person who had known Jason personally when they were younger had recognized him at a traffic light they had both stopped at. After they both looked at each other, Jason panicked and accelerated, running through the stoplight and speeding away. The witness told authorities about this and went on to say that Jason now has more of a tan to his skin and has longer hair than he had before. Investigators have said they believe he is either hiding in a Mormon community with a fake identity, or has a new partner, and hasn't told that partner who he really is, or that he now may have fled to France, Quebec, or to Thailand. In 1969, Roberto Solis shot and killed an armored car guard while committing a robbery that was unsuccessful. He was sentenced to prison, where he spent 17 years, and wrote 5 books during his 17 years in prison. Due to him writing 5 books, people saw him as being rehabilitated, and many fought for his release, which led to him being released early. He then met and began a relationship with a woman named Heather Tallchief in San Francisco. Heather had once been working in the medical field in Buffalo, New York. They soon began planning a robbery, taking time to plan all the details meticulously, and knew their biggest challenge would be how they get away. Roberto told Heather to get a job working in an armored vehicle, so they would be able to go through with their robbery plan. On October 1, 1993, 21-year-old Heather Tallchief was working in the armored van which she had been working at for the last 6 months. This day, she was driving and her two work partners were in the armored van with her too. They were responsible for putting cash into casinos' machines. Heather was the driver and her job was to drive them to the back of the casino and drop off the two work partners, one carrying the money and both were meant to service the ATM located at the side entrance to the casino. Due to procedure, Heather was then supposed to drive up with the van to pick up the two work partners when they were done completing their job of depositing the cash into the machine. As both the work partners finished their task and left the casino, expecting to be picked up by Heather and the van were gone. Investigators checked CCTV and it showed her driving off in the van, leading them to conclude that she had fled with the $3 million in cash. Investigators did a search of her apartment, where they found fingerprints, which they ran and saw they belonged to Roberto Solis, who they realized was a convicted murderer who was released from prison 6 years before this. Heather and Roberto made it to Las Vegas's Hughes Airport 2 hours after committing their robbery, both disguising themselves. 48-year-old Roberto was dressed smartly as a doctor and 21-year-old Heather was disguising herself as a sick, elderly woman. They only had 3 small suitcases with them both and chartered a private jet to Denver, Colorado. They were traced 3 days later by the FBI to Denver, but they weren't able to catch them both in time. 2 forged passports were found which were allowing them both entry into the South American nation of Suriname. The armored van was found by investigators 13 days after the robbery. It was found in a commercial rental site located in Las Vegas. This site had been used by Roberto. As part of his meticulous plan, he opened up a pretend business in order for the armored van to be left there, and in not raising any suspicions. In September 2005, 12 years after the robbery, Heather Tallchief went to the Las Vegas courthouse where he handed herself in. She said that Roberto had brainwashed her into doing the robbery, and she had been scared for her life with him. While they had been on the run, they had lived together, and she gave birth to his son. She soon felt their romance was going and saw he had no interest in being a father to their son, so she left Roberto and fled to the Netherlands with a fake passport, and lived in Amsterdam for a decade with her son. After turning herself in, she was given a 63-month prison sentence, and expressed that she felt free once she was given her sentence. She was released on parole in June of 2010, and since then has started to pursue her nursing career again. Roberto Solis is still wanted by the FBI and would be 78 years old if still alive now. He has been known to have over 30 aliases, including the name Pancho Aguila. Roberto Solis is from Nicaragua and was around 5'10" and weighed between 150 to 180 pounds. He also has the words Esta Vida Loca tattooed on his right forearm.